welcome back to Sugarfolk Homemade, my podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been crafting. My name is Michaela, and I am coming to you from a very small town in western North Carolina. I live with my husband and our 4 kids, which you may hear in the background. I have set them up with some quiet activities, but we don't know how long that's going to last. Oh, you know what? Last episode, I had someone say, we haven't met that cat before. And I introduced him on Instagram once, but I guess I haven't shown you guys. This is Cooper. He is old. He's like 10 years old, I think. He's a rescue. He's very sweet. He wants all of your attention all the time, and he will force you to give it to him. If I'm knitting or something, he will like push my hands until I have to let go of my knitting and pet him. So yeah, anyways, that's Cooper. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I feel like I should update you guys on life stuff, but honestly, I don't even remember where I was at last episode. Life has pretty much been the same though. Things are still chaotic. We're still fostering. That's about it. I will say I have always been one of those people that says that I don't get seasonal like depression or just the blues throughout the winter months, but I'm kind of feeling a little bit of that this year. Not so bad, but I'm ready for spring, which is why I'm filming in my kitchen today, because my kitchen is spring all year round because it's pastel colors, and I don't think you can see them, but I just hung up some floral curtains. They're like a very spring floral. They're actually pillowcases, but they look cute as little valance curtains up there because I needed some brightness in my life. So yeah, that's why we're in the kitchen, and I think that's really all to update you guys on. It may come to me as we're going through the things. So we're going to jump right in. I did want to say, as always, thank you guys for your comments on every video. You guys are always blowing me away with your kindness. And my last episode got so many views. I don't know why, but I'm okay with that. So if you are new here, I really hope that you like this, and I hope you'll stick around. Okay, let's jump right in. We will talk about what I'm wearing first. So I told you guys I've been sewing a little bit, mainly because all of my projects right now, knitting projects, are very involved and long-term, and I'm getting a little bit bored and impatient, if I'm being honest. So I needed something quicker. And I started this dress last year. I may have showed it, and I don't really remember why I stopped working on it. Either my sewing machine kept screwing up and was frustrating me, or I think that when I had tried it on, it was too tight up here. But I've not really changed much since then, and it fits. So I don't know. But anyways, this is a dress that I just finished yesterday, and I forgot to bring the pattern over here with me. It is a McCall's pattern, which I will put here. Actually, I'm just gonna have to grab the thing because I need to show you the picture of it. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the pattern. It is McCall's M7948, and I cut out pieces for this, letter C. Now, you can see letter C is tiered. There's 2 tiers. Bottom tier is longer than the middle, and they are both gathered. So I did mine a little bit different. If you're new here, I am not that great at sewing. I've never really been taught like how to do things. I can't read a sewing pattern. I could if I tried, but I just cut out the pieces and I go for it. So that being said, this is not perfect, but as you can see, it is a patchwork pattern, and so the pattern is very forgiving. So let me just show you what I did. Okay, so I did the top part as the instructions or the cutout pattern is to be. And then for the first tier, I did not do gathers because those are just frustrating to me. So I really just I did some pleats all the way around. And throughout the back too. They're not evenly spaced. I didn't measure them. I don't even know if they're all facing the same way. I think I just kind of did it. And then the next tier, I didn't really want it to get any bigger, and it was supposed to. So I cut my next piece the same length or the same size as the middle tier. So there's no gathering there. And I'll show you what I mean. So it starts about here. You can kind of see the line. Now, if I was to do it again, I would just make this whole piece, I would just cut it longer to make it just one tier. But I had already cut the pieces out last year when I started this dress. So I just kind of went with it. And it's supposed to be, I think it's meant to be about T length, but I shortened mine. I don't know if you could see before. Shortened it to right above the knee, which is my ideal length because it's not too short to wear without leggings. But if I want to wear leggings or tights with it, it still looks cute. I find that if you have a longer dress and you need to wear tights or leggings and then boots, I don't really like when they meet, the dress and like the boots. So that was my perfect length. And then I thought it was a little busy up here. I mean, the whole thing is just patchwork and it's very busy. But I thought maybe I could add some little element of a solid color just to kind of break it up near my face. And I had white, so I just made a little Peter Pan collar. Nothing fancy. I don't even think they're perfectly the same. Like I said, I'm not a professional sewist, and I do not claim to be. I don't make things for other people, and I will probably just wear this at home because that's where I am most of the time. So it's fine with me. And I have on top, this is my Freesia cardigan. I showed it over the summer last year when I finished it. This is a pattern by Gabrielle Knits. I wouldn't typically pair this with this dress because I think that it might be a little too busy because this is a tweed yarn. So there's already different colors going on and there's a lot of detail, and the dress obviously is busy. But for the purpose of this video, I thought that it was cute and it keeps me warm. Okay, moving on, we're gonna keep with the sewing since we're already on sewing. And let's see, I have two more things to show. Okay, so in my last podcast, I don't know if you could see this on screen or not, but I was wearing this sweatshirt. I did not make this. This is a quilted sweatshirt that I bought from a local maker. She makes the cutest quilted sweatshirts, t-shirts. She makes baby onesies. They're adorable. I bought this last year sometime, and I just love it. All of my friends have one too, and I've been wanting to take a picture of all of us with them, but I really wanted another one. I really wanted to try and make one, but I don't know if you could show it up closer. I didn't really want to go through the time of making like a fancy quilt square to put on one. So I had part of this quilt that I started a long time ago, like maybe 3-4 years ago. And it's just I'm never going to finish it. And I mean, I had no desire to, and I had this blank sweatshirt. So I just cut a chunk out of what I had made already and just sewed it onto this blank sweatshirt. And I think it's really cute. I love these fabrics because they are actually old. My great grandmother gave these to me, which also makes it special. She gave me a whole box of pre-cut squares a couple years ago, and she just passed last year, so this is really special to me. As you can see, it's nothing fancy, just some squares. And there's like a little spot right here that kind of bugs me. It's just where I didn't sew that down very good. But I have washed this in the washer and dryer 2 times and it's holding up. I did hand sew it. I hand sewed each square individually on. But it's held up, so I'm happy about that. And I just think it's really cute and very comfy. This was my husband's sweatshirt, and he gave it to me because I accidentally dried it and it shrunk a little bit, so now it's mine. So that is the first other sewn thing. And then it might have been last summer that I showed you guys some dresses of my grandma's that I was altering to fit me, and I did 2 of them, and then I had one that has just been in my cabinet waiting forever because I didn't know what to do with it because it was just too big. And it was this really cute like corduroy floral fabric. It was a thick strap tank with buttons all the way down, long skirt. So I cut the straps and tried to pull them up and re-seam them so that the whole thing was lifted. That helped a little, and then I needed to take some in on the side, so I did that. But the armholes were still way too low, and it just didn't look right. I didn't see how I was going to get a good fit out of it without like fully taking it apart and just using the fabric to reconstruct a different dress. So I cut the top part off, leaving just a skirt, and I had some extra elastic in my cabinet from I don't even remember what, but I just sewed a little elastic in the top and made a little skirt. It's nowhere near perfect. My machine went crazy on me at one point, and let me just show you. Can you see that seam right there? It is way wonky. But again, I don't care. And I still need to, I just cut it a little bit shorter, so I still need to go in and do the hem. But I think it's just a cute way to still put the piece to use. And I really love these colors. It's very 90s with the like black and then the almost like neon green in there. I love it. So I did this morning very quickly, as you would be able to tell if you saw all of the seams. But I think it'll be a cute little skirt to wear with sweaters or a little tank top underneath, really anything. Hi, Cooper. He's here for some attention, I'm sure. Okay, now moving on to the knitting. I have 4 finished objects, which sounds like a lot, but it's been a long time since I filmed, and 2 of them are socks. So, okay, we'll do those first. All right, the first pair of socks I finished. I just wore these yesterday, and they're not super clean, so forgive me. Some people will wait to wear their stuff until they show it on the podcast. That's not me. As soon as I finish something, I want to wear it ASAP. So these were my Christmas socks. They're not technically a Christmas pattern, but this motif right here made me think of snowflakes, and so these were my Christmas socks. This is a pattern by Carolina something. I forget her last name. Easy Peasy socks, I believe, and they really were easy peasy. I mean, these flew off my needles. I don't really know why they went so fast. Maybe just because they're color work, because I had more stitches than I do on a typical sock for me. But they just flew right off the needles, and they are so cozy because they're 2 layers thick, you know, because they're color work. So they're super thick. I expect that they'll last me a good long time because of the 2 layers. I'm hoping they don't get holes anytime soon. So those are my easy peasy socks. I do not remember what yarn I used. I showed these on a podcast last Christmas because that's when I started these. And then I had put them on hold until this Christmas I finished them. And I do have a Ravelry page. The yarn may be on there if you're interested. But I love those. And the next pair of socks I had actually put on hold to finish these because I wanted these by Christmas. And so this next pair, I actually started them in the fall, which will make sense. But then I had to put them on hold. And then instead of waiting until next fall to finish them, I thought, let me just go ahead and get them done. So these are the But First Coffee socks, I believe. Something to do with coffee. I should really write notes when I film. I always tell myself I'm going to do that, and then it comes time to film, and I just don't think about it. So they're just a little ankle sock. I'm really liking doing the pop of color on the top of the cuff rather than the whole cuff. I forgot who I saw do that first, but I really like it, and so that's what I've been doing. This is a really, I feel like this is a pretty quick knit because there are a lot of slipped stitches throughout here. But the only thing is, if you can see where the pattern is, the gauge is a bit tighter than down here, so it kind of wants to bow out like that, which is totally fine because once you put it on, it stretches out and it's not a big deal. And this yarn, I do remember the yarn. This is a Homespun House in the color, I just said I remembered it, Butter Pecan, I think. And this is West Yorkshire Spinners in Nutmeg. Her yarn, this is the first time I've ever worked with her yarn. It is so squishy and, oh, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what makes it so different from other hand-dyed fingering weight yarns, but I don't know. It was so nice. So I have these for next fall, which I've been wearing them now anyways. The next finished object is my Ballyclare shawl. I don't think that I showed this since I finished it. I could be wrong. There's a bunch of cat hair on it. His hair just comes off in little tufts like this, and they're everywhere. And I comb him regularly, but as you can see, he's a long-haired cat. And it just gets everywhere. He's staring out the window. He probably sees a squirrel or something. Okay, so this is my Ballyclare shawl. It turned out so much bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. I didn't finish this in time. I did finish it in time to wear it to one fall-ish event. My mom's Thanksgiving, which was late, so I was able to wear it then. But I'm excited to put this to use next fall because it is so fall-y. And what I love about this, I did not love knitting it, but I love the look of this picot edge. It just gives it that little pop of like cuteness, I think. And I just think it's adorable. I really like the colors. I really like the drape of it. It's lightweight. I know, I just love it. These yarns were, this is a Malabrigo something. I'm really bad about this. The colors are on my Ravelry. It's just been so long since I finished this, I can't remember the name. And then the lighter color is by Leap of Faith Yarns, and this was called Pumpkin Power. Do remember that one. Next finished object is one that I am the most excited about. And it is my Roosty tank. I'm calling it a vest. She's complete. I love this thing so much. I think this might be one of my most accomplished knits, what I'm most proud of, because one, the color work. This was on a US 4. I felt like every row took me so long, and it felt like I was taking forever to see any progress. So there was a lot of dedication involved on this. Thankfully, it was just a vest though, so no sleeves. And then I had to steek it, and that was very nerve-wracking. So you had to steek both arms and the neck. And I chose to do mine with crocheting. And I'll leave a link to the video that I used below. So you basically crochet in between. You crochet up both sides of the stitch you're gonna cut through. So you go through one leg, crocheting all the way up, and then you come back down on the other leg, which was really difficult because these stitches are tiny. They were hard to see which stitch was which, and this yarn is very toothy, and so the stitches don't just separate easily. They grab onto each other. So just getting that crocheted reinforcement in was a battle. But then cutting it was so scary. But both arms worked perfectly. It went without a hitch. Now the neckline, I don't know what I did, but somewhere, I believe it was over here. After I cut it, I did the crochet reinforcement, and then I cut up the center of those stitches, and then when I let it down, or I pulled it out, there was a piece of yarn here just sticking out. And then I looked, and it was something that was not supposed to be cut. And thankfully, since this yarn is so toothy, and it wasn't even very long, it was like this long, so I was kind of nervous about that. And I can't even see now where I did it, but I basically just wove it in to the back and tried to felt it a little bit to make it stay. And I've not had an issue so far. And then after you steek it, of course, you've got to sew down your, you've got to sew down that extra fabric that you're left with. And you can see that's my crocheted reinforcement right there. So you have to sew those down. And I just did that with needle and thread. And I was really nervous because before I blocked this, where I had folded down all those steeks and sewn them down, it was very bulky. But once I blocked it, everything smoothed out and it fits perfectly. So I used the recommended yarn for this, which I never do. This was Jamieson and Smith classic sweater jumper weight or something like that. It's all on my Ravelry, and I talked about it when I first cast this on, all the colors, because I did have to switch out 2 colors because the colors recommended were out of stock, so I just went with the next closest color. And I really enjoy this. It's a perfect fit. I knit the size, I believe it was the size 2. It's the same size that the sample was shown in, because I felt like we were similar in size. And before I finished it, looking at it on the needles, I was afraid it was going to be too big. But I always think that, and then I actually put it on and it fits me perfect. So I think I'm smaller than I am. I'm bigger than I think I am. But yeah, it turned out perfect, and I love it so much. I will never make another one though. Because that took a lot of dedication. And I kind of just need a break from color work. I've done a lot of color work lately, and while I love color work, it takes a lot of brain power. Not even power, but like I have to focus, and most of my knitting time is not when I'm able to focus. So moving on to, we'll do new cast-ons first, because there's only one. And that is a pair of socks. So you guys may remember I told you that all of last year I had a very generous subscriber. She sent me a yarn a month, and it was such a blessing. And for December, the package showed up, and I was floored because she didn't just send one, she sent a little advent box. with three full skeins, and then one was a pack of minis. And she had them all wrapped, 1 through 4 for each week of December. And the first one that I opened was this, and I love it so much. This is called Peppermints. Yes, Peppermints, and this is from Nanette Wake Studio. It's this regular 75-25 sock yarn. But I just thought these colors were so fun, and it really is like a peppermint. And then the green is kind of like spearmint, so I don't know, I just love it. So I casted on a pair of socks for myself, and this is the pattern Follow Your Path by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady Designs. I love this pattern. Let's see if I can do this. It looks so tiny. I'm on the toe right now, and I am using DPNs. I'm actually really growing to like DPNs for socks. I feel like they just go faster. So this is where we're at. You can see the pattern through there. So they do look so tiny, but they stretch a lot. And they hug my foot really nicely. I'm really excited about these. I love a good fun sock, and these are very fun. And while the pattern is, it looks complicated, it's fairly easy, and I have it memorized, so I don't have to like sit and look at the pattern. But I do try, and when I sit down to knit on this, I try to do at least 4 rows at a time, because that's the pattern repeat, and if I don't write down where I've left off, I'll forget. So I try to do at least a full repeat every time. But now I'm on the toe of this one. And then I may stop in a different sock before going on with the second one. Or maybe I'll just go ahead and do it so I don't get second sock syndrome. But yeah, these are my Follow Your Path socks. I love them. I'm doing, I said DPNs, but these, I usually knit my socks with 2.5 millimeter. These are 2.25 millimeter. Because I have found that my sock gauge is loosening up a little bit. I think I used to knit tighter because of the small circumference, but I'm starting to loosen up. And I wanted to be able to do the full stitch count, so I went with the 2.25, and I feel like that's the perfect fit for me. And these are just being kept in this little purse that I found at Goodwill a few years ago. It makes the perfect little sock knitting bag and take along project. So the next 3 things are, I thought I had 4. Oh, I do have another new cast on. Be right back. I can't believe I almost forgot about this. So this shawl, I feel like has been pretty trendy lately. This is the Hireth shawl. It's an oversized, very cozy looking shawl. And I'll tell you why it caught my eye. I really like the detail through here because it reminds me of like trees in the winter that have no leaves. And I had the perfect yarn for that. I have this icy blue cone cake. I have no idea what this is. This was sent to me. What is happening? But it's like this icy blue. There's even some almost light green and purples in there. And I thought that it was such a winter color and that it would go perfect for that shawl. Now, I have heard that this thing is ginormous, and I didn't necessarily want mine that big. So I went down a needle size. I'm doing this on a US 6, and I believe it calls for a 7. Let me check that. Yes, it calls for a 7, but I'm using a 6. and I believe it calls for DK weight, and this is more of a fingering weight, but I also had this in my stash from the same person that sent me the cone, and this is 100% fine merino wool lace. And so I thought I could hold those together and it would kind of marl the blue and give it and kind of brighten it up even more. So let me tell you, I went to wind this up. And this is, does it tell me how? Okay. This is 1,375 yards per skein. So I was getting it wound up. It was taking forever. And then by the time I finished, I could not get this thing off of the winder. It was on there so tight that it just would not budge. And for a while I thought, I'm just gonna have to knit it from the winder. Like, it's gonna have to stay on there. But finally I was able, it literally took me 20 minutes. I was able to use my thumbs to like slowly pull it off, and the middle kind of collapsed, but I was able to like kind of shove it back in there. It was crazy. I've never had that happen, but I guess it makes sense because it's so fine, and there was so much of it that it packed on there so tight. But alas, oh gosh, about to drop stitches. Okay, my cord is not long enough to spread the whole thing out, so let me just show you the part that matters. Let me show you the motif. So this is where we're at. I do really like the color. It's hard to show color on camera. Really, I'm just having a hard time showing this at all. My cord is not nearly long enough, so I can't stretch it out very far. But you can kind of see I have a little bit, I think I have 2 repeats of the pattern so far. It's kind of hard to see with nothing behind it. I did mess up at one spot though, and I accidentally knit the same row twice. I don't know if you can see right there how those 2 holes are on top of each other instead of it's supposed to start going outward immediately. I didn't notice that until the other day. I thought, wait a second, that looks weird. And I must have just knit the same row twice. But we all know I am not about perfection, so it's fine with me. I don't think anybody's ever going to notice that. So that's fine. And then the rest of it is just garter stitch. I do really want to finish this project, and I do love it. But I have so many shawls. And it's just not something that I need in my wardrobe, so I'm not worried about finishing it super quickly, because I have quite a few shawls and they need to be worn. But I do really, really enjoy this wintry mix of colors and pattern. So I do aim to finish it this winter. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I am gonna try. Because I think it would be really nice to cuddle up in, especially if it were to snow. And basing on years past, we don't usually get snow until, if we do, maybe late February, March. That typically seems to be when we get snow, if we get any. We had a little dusting the other day, but not anything to write home about. So that was my other cast on. Now the other 3 are whips that you have seen before, but I have made some progress. So I'm going to start with, what is in this bag? Oh, yeah. This is my sweater number 19, I believe. I've got the hiccups all of a sudden. Yes, sweater number 19 by My Favorite Things. It looks like this. It's a nice turtleneck with like a fancy rib. That's what I'm calling it. And I knew this project would take me a while, but I didn't really anticipate that it would take me this long. I usually knit continental, but you're changing between knits and purls so often that I have to knit English style, which is fine. That's how I learned to knit, but I'm just not as fast that way. The yarn I'm using for this is Drops Lima. I know last time I didn't have this tag with me. Drops Lima, and the color is 9020. I don't remember what it was called, but that's the number. So again, my cord is not super long for me to stretch it out, but it's this nice light gray. I actually don't have any sweaters this color, so that's why I chose this color. I don't have a lot of neutrals, to be honest. I love neutrals, but I always gravitate to color, but I need some neutrals because otherwise I can't mix and match things because everything is colorful. So I needed something neutral, and I love a good turtleneck, so that's what we've got. It looks really small, but this stretches a lot, and I did go down a needle size because my gauge is a lot looser than hers, and I found that out on my Levitate wrap as well. I did swatch for this, and then I went down a needle size, and I'm knitting the smallest size, and I think that it'll come out okay. It looks small right now, but like I said, it stretches quite a bit. I can't stretch it fully or I'm gonna lose stitches. But I mean, once you get that stretch in there, I think it's gonna be perfect. And it is so beautiful. I'm on the shoulder shaping right now, and the way that it just seamlessly, like the pattern keeps going even through the shaping, you see what I mean? Also, why does that remind me of a peacock? Just that section right there. But anyways, it's beautiful, and my goal is to finish this by the end of the month. It's kind of a lofty goal, but I really want to start some new things in February, and I really want to have this done because I want to be able to wear it this year, this season, before the cold is over. So we'll see how that goes. I'm getting sort of close to splitting for sleeves, and then I feel like once I get out of the shaping and I don't have to pay as much attention, that I might go a little bit quicker. We'll see. I am really excited about this, and I do really, really like this yarn. It's 65% wool, 35% alpaca, so it's very soft. But it's not scratchy at all. So that is my sweater number 19. And she's being housed in this patchwork bag. Every project I have on the needles needs a longer cord. But I'm just holding out because like this is about to be split for sleeves, and then I'm not going to need that longer cord. So why even put it there in the first place? Even though I'm like struggling to make do on this tiny little cord. Okay, so that's that one. I need to put the pattern back in. Okay, the next whip, which I don't think I showed this last time, is my Ray sweater. And I'm actually keeping this in this just like tote bag from April Cornell. Now, this is another very long-term project because it is fingering weight, but there are cables, and yeah, it's very involved. I mean, for example, this pattern is 17 pages long, and I feel like I'm just now at a spot where it's starting to go smooth and I know what I'm doing, because before I feel like I was like all over the place. So this is what it looks like. Can you see that? Oh, the glare. There you can see the cables down the sleeve. So it's a very drapey sweater because it's fingering weight, but it's knit on a US 5 needle. I don't remember if I swatched or not. I think I might have, but I'm using the recommended needle. And I talked about this before. I'm using this yarn. It's cashmere. I don't know if it really is. From Temu. I know it might not be ethical. I didn't know that at the time. If you want to buy it or you want to find it, that's at your own dispense, or, you know, your own discretion. But I already have it, so I'm going to use it. And it is this beautiful green color. I'm not going to be able to show you properly on camera, but it is the prettiest green. Actually, that's not so bad. It just has so much dimension. It's like a Christmas tree green. But if you get up close, you can see the dimension. So this is a rolled neckline. It seems so tiny, but again, it's all squished on my cord. There's a lot of markers going on right now. You can see my cables down this shoulder. I am slightly worried that because this yarn, it's like a light fingering held with a thread, and it's not quite the thickness of like a good fingering weight. And so it does seem a little bit see-through sometimes, specifically when I'm working on it. But then when I like try it on and I put it up to my body, it doesn't seem that way. You cannot tell what this is because it is so squished on this cord. I really should have put these on longer cords to show. But you get the gist. There's also some puckering right here from that shaping, and I'm hoping that blocks out. It should. Very, very pretty. I have no idea when this will be finished. I have no projected deadline for this because it's gonna take me a long time. And that's okay. I do enjoy working on it. I've been trying to do 2 rows a day, and I'm about to split for sleeves. So again, I think that will speed the process up a little bit. I feel like I get a slow start when I'm in the shaping area, and then when things are just like straight down, then it tends to go a bit quicker. Or at least it feels like it does, because then you have your body split and you're doing just the body, which is less stitches, and then you have the sleeve. So it's just split up instead of like one mass thing. If that made any sense. So yeah, that's my Ray sweater, and that's a pattern by Natsuko Ida. And like I said, this pattern is 17 pages long, but it is very thorough. And it is not her fault at all that I was like all over the place, because it's all laid out. You just have to actually, like, you have to read it and take it literally one row at a time. You can't look at the whole thing and try to figure out what's going on, because I tried that. It doesn't work. You just have to go row 1, what am I doing? Okay, completed. Row 2, and just trust the process and do what she says, and it comes out. Okay. Now, my last whip is one that I just recently picked back up because it has been in hibernation for a little while for really no reason at all. But I really am inspired to work on it now. So I got it back out and I've been working on it. And that is my pressed flowers cardigan. This was a gift to me from a subscriber. Uh-oh. And so I said before, I feel like that's why I don't knit on it so much, because I really want to like savor the process, because this is really nice yarn. This is Spin Cycle. The changing color is Spin Cycle. And then the green is the Barocco, I believe. I've talked about that before, but is that not so beautiful? Oh my gosh. At first I was kind of nervous that the colors weren't going to change enough for it to be noticeable that they were changing the flowers, but you definitely can, and that is so pretty. It's like, it's neutral but without being neutral. Does that make sense? I love it so much. And this is a cardigan I'm really excited to have finished. I think this would be perfect for early spring because of the flowers, but it's still pretty chilly here early spring, so I think this will be perfect. I'm using recommended needles for this, recommended yarn. So far it seems like my gauge is okay. I have wrapped this around me as if it were finished to see if it fits, and it seems pretty good, so I'm hopeful that it will turn out well, and it does have a lot of stretch to it. I'm just limited to the length of my cord. Green is a color that I don't gravitate towards as far as wearing. I don't think I have anything this kind of green. I have like teals and stuff, but as far as like a dark forest green, I don't own anything in that color. So I don't know what's happened to me to knit 2 dark green sweaters, but I'm excited about them nonetheless. All right, so those are all of my whips. Now, as I talked about in the beginning, I have been kind of having like a little bit of the seasonal blues, and I've been really wanting some color in my life. And so without actually jumping into it, I really felt like I just needed to look through my yarns and go ahead and plan out what I'm gonna make for spring, just to like get some spring energy flowing. And one thing that I'm really excited about, and I am planning on casting on in February so that it will be finished and ready for me to wear all spring, is this sweater vest by My Favorite Things, I believe, in this yarn. This was sent to me. I had a subscriber send me a big box of yarn, some that I would like to give away, and I'm planning on doing that when we hit 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, go do that. But first of all, I just want to tell you guys, anyone who reaches out and sends me anything, even just a message, you don't know what that does to my heart. Like, it makes me so happy. And I feel like I am a broken record. You guys are just so nice and so generous, and I don't feel like I deserve your gifts, but I am so thankful for them. Anyways, this was part of the gift that she sent, and this is 100% cashmere. And do you see that color? I'm not typically like a lavender loving person as far as clothes go, because it usually does not do me any favors with my skin tone. But this color, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a neon lavender. It is so pretty. And I feel like it has that cool tone, that undertone, which apparently is my color. I am a cool summer, according to Google. Although that might be different now that my hair is dark. I don't know if that makes a difference. But I just think this is going to be so beautiful in that vest for spring over a floral dress. I may have to make a dress to match this, and if I have to, I will, because it is so gorgeous. And like I said, it's cashmere, so I mean, beautiful. It's this is called Bijou Spun Xanadu Quality Yak Fibers and Yarns. I don't think it tells me, let's see. It's 400 yards. It's about a fingering, I would say, and I think that pattern, this is actually like a very light fingering. And I think the pattern calls for DK, if I'm not mistaken. So my plan, I do have enough to hold it double. And I think that'll be okay. I will do a gauge swatch. And I think I said it was by My Favorite Things. If it is, then I should be able to get away with going down needle size to compensate for the smaller yarn, lighter yarn. I don't know. I'll deal with that when we get there. But I'm thinking about this like every single day because that's how excited I am about it. And normally I would just go ahead and cast it on because I'm very impulsive. But I'm trying to use this as a motivation to finish my turtleneck. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, you finish that turtleneck, you cast this on right away. So this is my motivation to finish that. And I do have other spring things in mind too, but if I sat here and went through all of my ideas, we'd be here all day. And I just looked at the clock and it's actually almost time for us to go pick up the baby and take her to her visitation. So yeah, I better get going. I hope I didn't ramble too much. If there's anything you want to know about any project, I know sometimes I fly through them and I forget to mention needle size or what size I made, yarn, all of that. If you ever have a question, just leave a comment below. I'll try my best to answer it. I try to answer most of the comments. If I don't answer it, just know that I do see every single one and they make me so happy. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down below, or you can find me on Instagram. I'll leave the link to my page below, as well as my Ravelry, where I try to do good about making project pages for every project. Sometimes some things slip through, but for the most part, I think they're all on there. So if you have any questions about projects, you should be able to find it there. But if not, I'm an open book, so just ask. And I hope you all had a lovely Christmas if you celebrate, and a happy new year. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that, because like I said, once we hit 5,000, which is insane to me, that many people, well, not yet, but even we're at like 4,300. Even the fact that many people are watch these videos blows my mind. I could never stand in front of a room of that many people and talk. But this is different for some reason. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And I will see you next time. Bye.